Paul, sometimes the NFL owners, they get together and they will decide to table something for a later meeting. They'll wait to vote on a new rule later in the year or table it for another season to see how things work out. Not the case with overtime rules. They've changed that today, passing that through nearly unanimously. I think, 3 or 4 owners voted against the overtime rules for postseason. This is for postseason only, but both teams are going to possess the football. And the way I understand it, both teams will possess the football in overtime, and the second team, let's say the first possession goes 9 minutes, the other team will, after scoring, the other team will get possession for as long as they need with an option or with the expectation to go score. It's not like time expires on them, which I found interesting.
Rich McKay said this was data-driven and that the Kansas City-Buffalo game had a lot to do with it. I actually encountered one owner in one of the shops here. This little courtyard I'm in is surrounded by shops. Said there was there was just huge momentum from this and none for the regular season. None for the change in the regular season with the overriding feeling that it's a health and safety issue. I know, Jonathan, that really sticks in your craw and you don't like that sense.
Well, it's a lie.
I said, it's not even the same players who are on the field during that. So you could argue you're tiring out certain players, but then for the other team to possess the ball, it would be a different set of players, the other offense and the other defense. Said, I know, but just no real support for it. This was what had the support from the vast majority of people from the start. The Titans withdrew their proposal pretty quickly. And so this is the way it went. Look, it's better than what we've had, but it's not as good as it should be.
And the issue I have with the health and safety excuse, and I feel like you agree with me, and you've talked about this, is it's a total cop-out. And then when they decide to do something that's playing more games, or going to add revenue to it.
They added a regular season game for every team and then 2 extra playoff teams.
They're going to go back and cite, but we did the research and it shows that it really doesn't lead to more injuries or more problems. Here's all the data that we have that shows that there is no problem with health and safety. But if there's an issue that can be fixed and improved that they don't want to deal with at the time, it's an easy fallback to say, well, we're looking out for health and safety.
I don't understand the controversy in saying this is about the TV product, which is what it's about. At the end of the road, this is about CBS getting to 60 Minutes on time. That's what it is. And I wish they would just come out and admit that.
Certain window. It's only for a certain window of games. I mean, it doesn't affect the early games, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. I just think
it's not about health and safety.
They're saying we played the 17th game and we don't want to add any snaps to that. I don't know. Somebody put that in their head, and as a group, they bought into that on their head, and they don't want to. Nobody's given them a reason to get off of that, so they're just sticking with it like rote, even though it doesn't make much sense. And it'll take a controversial. What it takes. Look, it took a controversial ending in a big game to get them off of it. Now it'll take a controversial ending in a regular season game to get them off at a regular season game of consequence.
If health and safety is at the forefront of the NFL, they need to wear these padded helmets that they've mandated for the first 3 weeks of training camp for the duration of the entire season. Let's just throw that out there. Which colleges are already implementing in their practices. My point being, they can make up this little thing about how it's for the health and safety of our players. When it comes down to money and timing out these games to average 3 hours and 7 minutes, regardless of the time slot that they're in, because they want their TV networks to buy into the fact that they can slot that in there. They're going to get their millions of viewers and move on either to the next game without joining in progress, or allowing Fox to go to American Idol or CBS to hit their primetime programming on Sunday evenings. I mean, and allow local news and all the affiliates to start on time at 10 o'clock. That is the ultimate goal for every network. And for whatever reason, the NFL wants to point to health and safety when I can point to Thursday night football and the 17th game and having teams travel across the globe now to play regular season games, and then a team can actually opt into not having a bye week afterwards. There's so many contradictions to what they're saying this time of year in regards to overtime. I'm glad they've changed postseason. I'm glad that it took Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen to get it done, because if this were Taylor Heineke against Jameis Winston, we don't bat an eye at this. So I'm glad it actually happened so that it takes place moving forward. I just don't understand why we have to differentiate between the regular season and postseason play.
Doesn't it seem like a half measure, though, Paul? It'll just be this one season. Yeah, it feels like to me this is gonna happen in the postseason. They're gonna get to a game where it's gonna go down. They're gonna like the results of it. They're gonna like the new format, and they're gonna come back and say, "Okay, this is now the overtime rule for everything."
Well, I think maybe, like I said, it takes a game of consequence, maybe a game with playoff implications where the same thing happens, and they say, "Oh, that's important too." But I think America's united on wanting it season long, and the owners sometimes take time to catch up.